The state of emergency SOE that was declared for the parish of St Catherine on June 17 by Prime Minister Andrew Holness could end as early as July 1 if the parliamentary opposition does not give its support for it to be extended. By law, the Governor-General, on the advice of the Prime Minister, who acts on the advice of the Commissioner of Police and Chief of Defence Staff, declares a SOE. However, it can only be extended by an initial 3 months, following a 2/3 vote in both houses of Parliament. While the Holness-led Jamaica Labour Party government has a supermajority in the House of Representatives, it needs one of 8 opposition senators to vote with the administration for the security measure to be extended. When the emergency powers regulations that will guide how the current SOE will be governed were belatedly tabled in the House on Thursday, it was evident, based on a line of questioning from Member of Parliament for St Catherine South, Fitz Jackson, that the People's National Party (PNP), which has repeatedly stated that the SOE is currently used by the government as unconstitutional, may be reluctant to lend its support. The PNP's position was bolstered on June 17 when the Constitutional Court ruled that the emergency powers regulations that were used under the 2018 St James SOE to detain taxi operator Roshane Clark for 7 months without charge were unconstitutional. The court found that Clark's constitutional right to freedom and liberty as guaranteed by the Constitution had been breached and awarded him nearly $18 million in damages. Jackson asked Chong, "Is it intended not to go beyond the 14 days that the government can unilaterally pursue? Have you been apprised that there may be a need to extend it beyond the 14 days which would require the opposition, and in such an instance, have you begun to engage the opposition in that regard?" Before allowing Chong to respond, Jackson said, "I'm not aware of such engagement." Chong, in responding, said, "Let me say, I fully appreciate and need the support of the opposition if we're to proceed beyond the time, 2 weeks." The security minister then said any decision to go beyond 2 weeks would depend on the recommendation of the heads of the security forces. "It appears they may well ask for an extension. If they do, I will certainly engage the opposition outside of the chambers before coming here, next Tuesday." Chong said, "I will say publicly that we have indicated to the opposition that the Commissioner of Police will give the opposition a full intelligence briefing on the events in St Catherine where he was convinced, and convinced the government, that the threshold for violence justified the introduction of a state of emergency. So far it has had an impact," Chong stated.